How's it going, everyone? Today I am reviewing Ginger by Brockhampton, and with me I have a very special guest, and that would be Mr. Liam Menzies, Liam the music reviewer. How you doing, Liam?
I'm good. I'm a little bit disappointed because you said we're going to be talking about Shark Tale, but I will take talking about Brockhampton over that. I'm fine with that.
No, that Shark Tale, someday we'll have to get together, and I'll have to tell you how insanely wrong and just idiotic you are for not appreciating that modern classic.
It's a masterpiece.
You just admitted it.
A masterpiece of shit. Unlike this, like this, like Iridescence. There, I brought it back.
Wait. Are you saying Iridescence is shit?
No, I said unlike Iridescence because we're Iridescence gang.
Yeah,
I think we're quite proud.
That's why I wanted to do this review with you, because like you actually still appreciate Brockhampton, even though it seems like for a lot of people they may not like them as much anymore.
Yeah, it's. And like I'm not like bitter about it either.
Oh, yeah,
like
no,
I know
it's
there's some people that loved them and went off them. There's people who kind of did the opposite, like kind of hated them and now went on. It happens with any artist, but I do think with Brockhampton it's been the most kind of polarizing because you go back to 2017, like everyone loved them, and now it seems that even that work has now been looked at with kind of like it's kind of aged like milk.
Oh yeah, it's been a really weird transition. I feel like I don't know if it's just us like in our little community, but it seems like during 2017 they were the hottest and like most exciting and promising and just unanimously acclaimed group like of the year, and then like just right before Iridescence came out, which was only like 8-9 months after Saturation 3, like I just started seeing so many people be like, yeah, the Saturation trilogy's fine, it's okay, like we overrated it. I'm like, what? I still think it's great, like I really like it, you know?
Yeah, they met. I agree totally.
And like I think we both agree that Iridescence was even better. Like I personally think that's their best work to date. So I was still pretty hot on the Brockhampton train coming into this album.
Yeah, me too. Like I'm very much of the opinion that I know that we can like when it comes to the Saturation trilogy, like there's kind of little like nuances that we don't quite agree on in that. But for the most part, we think the trilogy is quite good. But Iridescence was just kind of like. It was a horrible situation the boys found themselves in, but they kind of rose from the ashes and like made something that I would like at the moment anyway. I don't want to like put them down like when they're still kind of in the midst of like creating music, but I do think that Iridescence is gonna kind of go down as being their most interesting work, their most experimental work, and just their best work for me, definitely.
And like even I just found like lyrically that was their most cohesive project as a whole, and like. Production wise, it was just the most creative and dense. So like there was a lot, in my opinion, that album offered. But that brings us to Ginger, which is a interesting direction for the group to go in my opinion. Like it doesn't feel like anything they've done before, and yet it still kind of brings me back to the Saturation era in a way, but it still feels like an advancement. Like it's kind of holds a weird place for me. Like how do you feel about like what this album holds for them in terms of the direction they went in?
So I think the boys have said it themselves that this is definitely their most focused project, and I definitely wouldn't disagree with them there. I think maybe people were expecting, again, not to bring it up again, but for Iridescence to be the most kind of polished and the most professional, considering the fact that like the Saturation trilogy was all kind of like self-made, like on their own, kind of like by their own rules and that. This is definitely kind of like their first label album, if that makes sense. Like it definitely feels like kind of like as much time has been taken as a Brockhampton album can. The production, well, we can get into that later on. It feels the most kind of like studio quality. It feels like I want to say their first serious album, and that's not to say that they've not explored mature themes or they've not matured in like any album beforehand, but this definitely feels like the first kind of AAA Brockhampton record for me. But I know you're kind of mixed on whether or not it's a good thing.
Okay, well, we can get on to how we feel about the album's album. It's funny, like everything you just said about this album is like kind of how I describe Iridescence personally. But as far as like, I guess we can just get right into it, like how we feel about this album here. Unfortunately, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think there's some good material on here. There's a lot that I do like about it, and I do actually really appreciate it as a whole, especially when you dive into like the overall themes and the lyrics on the project. But like, unfortunately, as a whole, I wasn't feeling it. I don't think it's their strongest effort, but I know you disagree.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think generally, like, I'm kind of on the same boat as you. Is that I think it's just kind of more to the extent of which those issues really annoy me. For me, some of them can just be kind of brushed off as nitpicks. For you, maybe they're kind of more severe issues. But I totally agree when you're saying about the themes, like thematically. That's what kind of like. I don't know how many times I've listened to this album, but each time I came back to it, I was thinking to myself, like, I don't remember, like, I know the Saturation trilogy had, like, kind of, like, a lot of overarching themes, and that was, like, 3 albums worth of content. Of course, there's going to be some sort of, like, some stuff that's going to be a bit recurring, whereas on this one, it feels like a line that gets referenced on the first track, kind of, like, a few tracks later gets spun on its head, or just gets picked up in some extent. So, like, I kind of found, it kind of made it a rewarding listen, but I wouldn't say that I think it's... I would say it's a dip in quality, in my opinion.
Right, but, like, what you were just saying about them, like, calling back to lyrics and stuff, I actually noticed that just then on, like... I listened to this right before we came on call, and, like, I'll say first of all, like, No Halo, the intro song, I wasn't big on it at first, but, like, it's actually grown on me a lot. I do really like that track now. And I really love Dom's verse on it. I think it's one of the best verses he's ever written. Like, did you notice what he did on it? The way he, like, kind of ties together, like, pretty much in every line he references, like, sewing or, like, you know, some type of, thing in that department.
I don't know
like,
why I didn't notice that.
It's really clever the way he pieces it together. He's like, depression put me into places where I'm stuck in the seams. What did I write? I have no idea what I wrote down. He's oh god.
But no, I know exactly what you mean. Like, I think that kind of is just like a testament. Like, like he rhymes like dream seems. Like, yeah, I think I've always admired Dom for his like rapping ability, and I think even back when everyone was so hyped up about the Saturation trilogy, it never quite felt like he was getting because people would always gravitate to saying, like, to kind of like focus their praise on Amir. But Dom's always been like, see, if you go back to the trilogy, you'll realize how much of a presence and how like his penmanship, like, he comes out with a lot of good stuff on this as well. But like with No Halo, it was kind of the first single that immediately got a reaction out of me.
Well, yeah, what I was saying is, like, he like mentions, like, seams, and then they sealed my mouth, you know, pop the stitches, the machines weave, and, like, he keeps mentioning that type of imagery, and it kind of laces all of the bars together. I thought that was super clever, but then I forget what song it was on, but on another song, I think it was Merlin or someone made, like, dropped a line that was, like, very similar to that type of concept, and like, I just thought the way that tied together was kind of cool.
Yeah, I do think there's, like, for me, the one that I was thinking of, that, like, I can't it's one of those things where, like, I'm not sure if it was intended or if it's just how the kind of, like, the cards have fallen. But, like, in the first song, Matt's talking about, like, this relationship where, like, everything's kind of, like, fell apart, everything that was there is kind of, like, getting taken back, and he mentions, like they've taken everything but the dog, which I think, again, could just be, like, the dog, or could just be his kind of, like, self-loathing embodied as him being just a dog, just like a creature, and that. And then a few songs later on Heaven Belongs to You, you get Slow Tie say, he's got that line that I know some people are mixed on, where he's saying, like, fuck God, I'm a dog backwards, which is kind of
I did not like that line at
all. I can see,
thought it was horrible.
It's kind of corny, but I kind of like it, because that's going from, like, so you start from the place of self-loathing, you get to that line, which is obviously kind of like a bit more kind of like cheeky, like someone kind of like just kind of like going with emotions, and then you get the line over on Dearly Departed, which is probably like something we'll get into a lot more, but there's obviously kind of like Dom mentions kind of like saying fuck God and all that, and I kind of felt like a lot of that just seemed to kind of like fall in a place where, like, for one reason or another, I kind of just found it quite satisfying, which, again, I could be totally reaching there, but I kind of liked how they were just kind of like different, kind of like, just kind of, whenever I was like revisiting it, how everything just kind of like fell into place for me. Could have totally been unintentional, but I found that quite a nice touch, if that makes sense.
I didn't notice the dog thing personally, but I will just say, like, the slow tie line, like, to me, I was just like, you know, when you're in, like, first grade, you just look at the word dog, you're like, oh my god, that's God backwards, and it's like, whoa, what an incredible realization I had. I mean, and, like,
yeah,
that song overall,
the slow tie feature, I really like slow tie. That feature kind of sucked, and I say kind of sucked because I'm being very lenient there by saying it kind of sucked.
Yeah, I haven't listened to his album yet. I probably need to do that. But like he had that other line on there, like all this war in my head, like the Middle East or whatever he said. Like that just seems
Oh,
like such a cliche. Like how many times have you heard a variation of that line? Like so yeah, I thought his feature there was kind of weak. Didn't really add anything to the album for me, and it's just over like the same production as If You Pray Right. So it's like you've already heard that. So I just
yeah.
felt this was kind of pointless on here in my opinion.
Yeah, literally the only thing I kind of like about it is he's got the line, I didn't get the memo, didn't CC me, only CC me when I'm doing burglaries, and if we aren't on your TV you wouldn't have ever seen, like kind of like how it plays on like CCTV, kind of technology, kind of like being constantly watched and that. Like I kind of found that nice, but that doesn't justify the previous lines. It kind of make you kind of once it kind of like is kind of a little nitpick that I've got with Slow Tie, in that he tries so hard to be dead serious but also be dead funny, and never quite feels like he sticks a landing. But he's a fairly kind of, I don't want to say like a new like rapper, but like he's kind of still up and coming. I think it's something that you'll kind of like
Right.
iron out. It just I kind of found it like kind of a waste, because like even when it came to, again, talking about Iridescence, when they had I guess the only guest on it, like guest rapper they had, was like Jaden, but even then like at least they had him like on the song, incorporating into like the overall
Yeah.
vibe, whereas like it's just like they just kind of like let Slow Tie have a song. Not the only time they do it in this album, but I kind of felt like, oh, I would have like liked to see how he would have like kind of worked alongside the other members, as opposed to just kind of like dropping them in there and kind of letting those lines kind of stick out even more so.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I thought the way that Victor Roberts was incorporated was a lot better in my opinion, and we'll get to that. I feel like that's something we should probably touch on at the end.
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
going back to No Halo, I think that works really well as an intro, because I think it establishes a lot of the prominent themes that personally I noticed throughout the record.
Yeah.
Like feeling a lot of self-doubt, feeling kind of worthless, feeling lost, like you're not good enough, and like you have no halo, like you don't even feel like you're a good person. And like you have the line from Merlin, he just starts off like, do I matter? He's just asking that question to himself, and I feel like that question kind of looms over the entire album.
Yeah, I'd really like the bit, and again, this is one of those things where like, you never quite know if it's like intentional or not. But like when he's like, he just keeps repeating how he's run out of options, how he used to have options, and I kind of like, I do like that, how like he just repeats it, like he's not actually finding something new to say, almost as if like he's kind of like lost the kind of words to actually. Yeah, I quite like that. Again, could have just been Merlin going, oh, this actually sounds quite nice at that point, but I do think that either way, like the way it's ended up has made me kind of go, oh, that's nice. The whole, no one really like kind of, on that song, I think it's probably the most, even I wouldn't say it's the best song, but it's the most kind of like tightly knit, where like no person kind of like outshines the rest. Like they're all just on like really good form. I will say it's one of the few times that Joba like managed to kind of satisfy me on this album.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm surprised to hear you say that, because I thought you may have liked him, but like Joba was pretty underwhelming to me on this project as well.
Yeah.
But like on this song, like you said, he's really good. Talking about how he went to church, stumbled in drunk as shit, like that whole thing was. I just found this entire song, it kind of just feels like every member just at their lowest. Matt talking about seeing his ex, move on with another guy. Merlin questioning his own self-worth. Dom just talking about like being, in the pit of depression, just feeling lost. And I feel like the overall sound of the song, it's like, it's not sad, but it just has this like, it's like the type of thing that you'd hear during a scene in the movie where it's like a montage of every character like kind of isolated on their own, battling their own demons. And I just like the entire mood it brings, and I like how cohesive it is lyrically, because often they're a group who like everyone's just kind of doing their own thing lyrically, but this is a super tight-knit song in terms of what they're talking about.
Absolutely, I'll 100% agree on that. I think it would be one of the few things we agree on, but definitely I think No Halo is kind of just a real kind of like a real highlight on this album for sure.
And then we go on to Sugar, which that's going to be one of our big disagreements on this one, because I think that song has a great chorus. I love the chorus on it. Ryan Beatty did it, right?
Wait, what song was this again? Sorry, is this on Boy Bye or?
Sugar. Sorry.
Oh, Sugar. Oh, you don't like? Oh, okay, that is gonna be.
You didn't know that. You didn't know that.
I remember you say. I remember like, because obviously like we all talking that, and I kind of thought. I remember you saying like you weren't. I remember you said the chorus was good. You didn't quite. You kind of forgot everything else about it. But like I love that song. Like I saw somebody tweet today. I can't remember if one of the members or not, but somebody saying Sugar would have topped the charts if it came out in 2004, and that is like 100% right.
Accurate, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like such a throwback. And I kind of love I kind of at first when I first heard it, like I thought, oh, the chorus sounds so sweet, but it does kind of like contrast a lot of like kind of what they're talking about. Especially, I love again. I think this might be just like a video where we're constantly like heaping praise on Dom, but I really liked on the end of his verse where he's saying like how he turned my temple down into a prison, which is like kind of like playing on that whole like, oh, treat your body like a temple thing. Like I just kind of thought, oh, like even if the voice kind of like effect on him can be kind of like great, and I thought that line alone was like one of those oofed moments for me.
Well, that's what I was about to mention is like the effects on his voice. I'm not a fan of him at all. Like right after that super sweet, sugary, just like really gorgeous and lovely chorus, like I don't like the contrast there. Like when he comes in, it just feels kind of harsh, doesn't work well, and I just don't like the sound of that verse overall.
Yeah,
and then
I can see that.
The overall like the production on the song, I don't think is that interesting. None of the other verses really stand out to me. So like the song to me is kind of just the chorus, and the rest just falls kind of flat to me personally.
Yeah, I can definitely. It's not like I can't see where you're coming from at all, but I do think that obviously Ryan Beatty on the chorus is great. Dom, I think, pulls out a really good verse, even if you think the effect kind of underperforms. I like Bareface on this as well. I actually kind of think that Bareface in general in this project really pulled out the bag, like kind of quite impressed me at points. And I guess Kevin's fine on it, but like I just feel like the mood that it gets, kind of like the mood that it generates and the kind of feelings it gets out of me, any one nitpicker that kind of feels like kind of just a kind of like a nitpick really for me, just kind of doesn't really bother me too much of the overall mood of the song.
Yeah, like it's the same for me, like where I might not agree with you, but I can understand why this song is like maybe the most popular or beloved off the project, because like this is something like it probably does deserve to be on the radio, you know, a charting hit single, but definitely one of their most accessible songs I think they've produced, or just catchiest in general.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would not argue with you on that at all. I actually do think that when I was looking on Spotify recently, it was, other than Bleach, it was like one of like 4 songs from the project that were in their top 5, which is, I think it's definitely found, it's probably popped in a lot of folks' daily mixes, and it's probably kind of put them onto a fair bit. So I do think that kind of they know what they're doing, and I kind of surprised that they didn't use this as one of like the singles they showed off like before the album came out, because it was 4 songs they chose, and they're all quite different from the other. But
yeah,
I'm surprised Sugar wasn't the one they went for.
I feel like if they did put this out as a single, like it could have been one of their biggest songs. Like,
oh yeah,
I could totally see this blowing up, and I like, even though I don't care for it, like I'd love to see them, you know, just have themselves a massive song.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of like one of the moments on this like album where I kind of went to myself, they really know the formula they're working with just now, especially because I felt like they were maybe kind of like in an insecure place after. I think Iridescent's got quite a good critical reception, but I'm pretty sure the band have said how they kind of didn't like how split the fan base were about it, and I think they've kind of found a good middle ground on quite a few of these songs. I think Sugar is one of the bits where it's like, okay, like we kind of know what some of these are after, this kind of like really sugary sweet kind of diabetes inducing kind of song, but also with the kind of darker elements that people really liked from Iridescent. So it's kind of a good middle ground in that sense.
Yeah, the reception, the fan reception to Iridescence, like that disappoints me personally, because like I just feel like it's probably the boldest thing they've done, and I don't want it to discourage them from trying things like that in the future. But you know, I'm still, even though I don't care for this project, I'm still optimistic and excited for whatever these guys do next.
Yeah, me too.
But the next song that this is going to be a bit of a hot take on my end, but personally, Boy Bye, this is my least favorite Brockhampton song they've ever made. Like I hate this song. Like I can't stand it. Like the production on here, it sounds so damn goofy to me, and not in an endearing way. Like those like do like that whole thing. Like it just like gives me images of like Pee Wee Herman or some goofy ass shit like that. And like what makes it.
I love that.
Yeah. I don't like that, especially when like the lyrics on this song are so serious. Like especially Dom's stuff. Like he's like talking about, you know, being suicidal, and you know everyone asks me about my depression, and over this like goofy ass beat, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like I don't like that.
That's fair. I was actually watching a Genius interview that they did. It was like this big like 45-minute long interview, and they were Boy Bye was like the first song that they actually like kind of Dom sat down with one of the producers and was like, right, I'm doing this. And I think that was kind of like, that was the intention, but again, I'm not going to try and be one of those folks that says they intended it to be that much of a contrast, which means that you can't complain about it, because I can totally see that being so, like, yeah, I just say kind of like Pee Wee Herman, Looney Tunes, like, kind of production. I quite like it a fair bit, especially, I think Matt Champion's verse is actually really good. That's something else that I'll say. I feel like he got quite underutilized on the last album, whereas on here, I feel like he kind of comes through with like a few good bits. I like the kind of bona fide Big Bird looking like a Yeti. I like the Elmer Fudd reference as well. Again, kind of like tying into that whole kinda, like Looney Tunes feel.
Yeah, that's true.
My favourite line that I know our boy Buffalo love is the line, "Damn, I'm like Kirby man, I don't take damage," which, like, again, like, made me laugh a fair bit. And again, not to gush too much, but I kind of like Bareface's bit as well, like kind of like that kind of more moody rapping. Again, someone might find it corny, but I think it's him kind of like coming out his comfort zone a little bit, which I like to see. So I can obviously like the contrast being a bit too much, like a bit kind of like the edges could be a bit more refined, but for me, I kind of like how much of a clash it is.
I really like that the Kirby line as well, because personally I thought it was a shout out to Amy of the Sound Binge, because if you've ever played Smash Bros with her, she takes no damage when she plays as Kirby.
She's that I feel like she's just had a history of playing Smash, and she like, and Buff is just kind of like going like, oh, I'm gonna teach you what to do, and she's like, bitch, I already know.
She's like, fuck you, I'm gonna kick your ass.
You don't know what you've got yourself into here. But yeah, the Kirby line, I'm all here, like more Kirby shout outs and hip hop and music in general. Just more love for my boy.
Kirby's just a pure being. But I will say I did find this song, maybe it's just me, but like I kind of find the mix on it a bit weird. Like to me, Matt sounds a bit low, and the way Dom, like, it's both how he's mixed and how he's rapping, but like there's this weird thing, I don't know if it's just me, but when he comes in, like, I can barely make out what he's saying. It's like he's not enunciating his words fully. And like honestly, the first time I heard it, like it sounded like he was like rapping in reverse or something. It just sounds kind of off to me. I don't know if that's just me, but like it just sounds weird, and I'm not into it personally.
I kind of, for me, again, it might be another reach. I've got a good exercise routine going on here, but I kind of felt like, because he's also like talking over this kind of like happy, like kind of like upbeat kind of production, that like it kind of seems like the reason, also, like, I'm not gonna say, like, he's trying to rap fast almost as if he's trying to like mask over it, like he's just kind of like want to get all over the way with like it, like I say, the production's so upbeat and happy, and he's just kind of like, I'm just not gonna talk about my depression, I'm just gonna push that all aside, like get on to the next person. And like Matt does come through with a bit more of like a kind of like just a funnier verse in that.
Yeah,
but I will
with
admit,
all his
like,
references.
Yeah, I will admit that like the first few times I listened to this, I was the same. I was kind of going like, right, I heard depression, and I heard Steph, and I heard stress, and like it was kind of like, it was almost as if like kind of like again like Roadrunner was going by me, and I was like, shit, like how am I meant to keep up with this? So I can definitely see that being a complaint, and maybe the only nitpick not even nitpick, like a genuine complaint that I have about this song is that I think Dom kind of like, he wrote the verse and kind of didn't really think about how he was going to kind of incorporate it. I think he does quite a good job, but I do think it could have been maybe refined a little bit. I'm not going to argue with you on that, but I wouldn't say I think you say it's the worst song does make me kind of go like, yeah, that's a hot take there, mate. I'm gonna step out like, the room right now.
I've been looking at everyone's like track ratings on Rate Your Music, and like this is like one of everyone's favorite songs on the project, so I'm very alone on that one.
Yeah,
like, I'm aware.
It's not unusual, mate. I've seen your Kiriko Nito videos. I've seen your Daft Punk video. This is you're used to this at this point.
I do love my hot takes.
Nothing wrong with a wee hot take here and there.
Were you a fan of Saint Percy at all? Because that's one I've seen a bit of a split reception on.
I mean, everyone seems to dislike it, so of course I like it.
I mean, I've seen some love from it, like more so from like Brockhampton fans. Seems to be one of their favorites on it.
Yeah, I think I can. Again, this is one of those kind of like albums where like every complaint I hear about it, I kind of go, yeah, fair enough. But also like for me, that's kind of like Kevin's kind of delivery on it. I think it's like quite
his accent.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of accent you would say it is, but like it kind of almost sounds kind of like it's got like, kind of a bit more like, yeah, it kind of like sounds like kind of like a kind of like an exotic
accent.
flair to it in that. But it sounds kind of daft the first time you hear it. You kind of think, oh wait, is there like a feature on this? Like, isn't like put on, because like there's like a few songs on here that like have guest appearances that like don't get credited. But like when I was like, oh wait, that's actually Kevin. Like, fair enough.
I just heard it and I just thought like somebody should tell Kevin to stop listening to Drake. Like,
that's fair. I think it's one of the weaker songs on it. But again, I quite like Bareface on this.
I like Dom's flow on it a lot, like the da-da-da-da.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah.
Like I really like how he raps on it. But to me, that's like the song, like the beat is just nothing. Like to me, it has no momentum at all. It's just so sparse. It's like some big bass and then those like kind of weird synth notes, and then like there's just no momentum to me until like I guess when Matt starts rapping, they throw in some hi-hats that add a little more energy. But to me, overall, the song just kind of feels dead.
Oh, I totally disagree on like production wise. I can maybe think that it feels like I think I can't remember who pointed this out, but somebody said they can almost hear like the kind of wee metronome going on, like as if it's kind of like still like a draft of the song, and I can hear it a little bit. And I'm kind of like, oh fuck, that kind of annoys me a little bit. But saying that the song sounds dead, I think when Merlin comes in on this, like I fucking get hyped so much.
Well, I just meant more not like I meant more so like the beat sounds dead to me.
Yeah.
That's because like I said, like when Dom comes in, like I don't think he sounds dead at all. He sounds like on top of his game. Like you said, Merlin, of course. So yeah, I do like the members on this song are really good, but I'm not a fan of the production at all, which kind of ruins it for me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be quite this song is amazing, it's misunderstood, but I think it's fine. I think when it comes to like it almost feels like the album doesn't quite bounce back from Heaven Belongs to You, because that's the song that precedes Saint Person. It's almost like you kind of wish it was like something a bit more hyped up to kind of make you go, because even though I don't like Slow Tide's verse all that much, there is a bit of like a kind of delivery to it that makes it sound kind of sinister. So like you're expecting it to be more kind of like a bit more of an interesting song on all kind of levels, but it just kind of sounds like the performances are there, but the production's quite half finished, I would say.
Right. I will also say, like, the way they throw in that, like, sample for the chorus, it just feels like they throw it in, like, in its full form, and it just sounds really weak to me. Like, it's super buried in the mix, too. Like, that part just feels kind of awkward to me.
Yeah, like, but you can, well, they are Kanye West fans after all. It's not like just go like, okay, this is what we call production. I'm just going to chuck, like, a bit of a song and call it me chopping it up. But it's, I kind of agree with you. It's a bit kind of like the thing is, it's a good sample, but it's just not utilized well. It could have been a bit cooler. Yeah. I totally agree.
I find it the same with how they use like the Break the Law sample on If You Pray Right.
Yeah.
Like just break the law.
I think the Break the Law one's a bit kind of cooler for me. I kind of think that works a bit better than it does on here, but neither of them are quite, considering the kind of sampling that they've done before. Again, on the last album, which is really good. I feel like they could have went a bit more all out, but like this album in general just feels a bit more kind of like a bit more of a mellow affair, even if it's still got those kind of like saturation quirks going on.
Well, that was one of the weird things about me when I was hearing the singles. Like with like the first two was If You Pray Right and I've Been Born Again, and both those songs are like weirdly reserved and low key, and just like I was like, is this whole album just gonna have that really low key tone? And for the most part, I feel it kind of does. Honestly, like this is definitely one of their most just like it's it's not banger after banger. You know what I mean? Like it's more refined in a way, but not necessarily like refined in the sense that like they seem to be taking their time more with how it flows and progresses as a project.
Yeah, I think it was you that sent me that tweet that it was like Dom was saying that he likes how Ginger sounds when he's like got it on shuffle, and Kevin was like, hey, I've spent ages like on the track listing here, and I think that kind of holds true. Like when you compare it, like you can listen to to a certain extent you can listen to any of the Saturation albums on shuffle, and bar maybe depending on how your algorithm works out, unless you get like all the cinema skits like back to back in that, and you get all the cinema skits, and then you get like Summer or Teamer that you might end up with kind of like a bad lot there. But like I feel you can play those albums on shuffle, and you're not really like missing out on too much. I kind of like that about them, that they're just kind of like a collection of just really good songs. Iridescence felt like, okay, we're actually gonna kind of like the latter half of the album kind of feels like the more sort of like shit, we're actually going to reflect on all the bad stuff that's going on. This album feels, even though I have issues with the track listing, feels like the most kind of like, as you say, like kind of like pace, kind of like the way that they're pacing it and they've planned it out. There's definitely more kind of attention paid there, especially when it comes to the thematics we're talking about, especially kind of like the redemption and religious stuff that's going on there. I quite liked how Dearly Departed was kind of like quite like the mourning song where they're getting like all the final bits of just like stuff that's boring them, and then it's I've been born again. Like it's quite basic. Like, okay, that's a song where you're kind of like burying something. Okay, now you've been born again. Like, it's quite basic, but I still think it's a nice touch though. Yeah, it's nice. Oh yeah, again, it's not. I think considering what the kind of band that Brockhampton are, where it seems to be more about like them just having fun more often than not. Like, it kind of is a cool touch, in that sense. But I will admit that you've already brought it up when kind of like Heaven Belongs to You has the If You Pray Right kind of like interpolation. I just found that kind of distracting. Every time that I've came back to the album, I'm always expecting it to kind of just go right into it. Like, if St. Percy just wasn't there, like, again, I like this song, like, but if it wasn't on it and Heaven Belongs to You just went right into If You Pray Right, I wonder if that level of satisfaction would outweigh the satisfaction I get from St. Percy. I don't know, but like, it's like something that really gets to me a lot.
Yeah, I will say, like, even though I do have similar complaints, like, I feel like it would make way more sense for Heaven Belongs to You to go into If You Pray Right. Like, despite little nitpicks I could have, I do feel like you can tell that they put a lot of time into, like, trying to make this track list flow. Like it's meant to be a start-to-finish project for them, for sure. Like, more so than any other of their projects. Like, you can tell that they didn't want this played on shuffle. They wanted you to, ride the emotions with them from start to finish, and it's, like, a very clearly directed emotional journey.
Absolutely. I've just got respect for them for that. Yeah, it definitely in that sense, it feels like even if you can draw parallels and that to different work, it feels like they're at least kind of not even taking a risk, but like they're evolving in some sense.
I will say, Dearly Departed, that's a song that, like, at first it was one of my favorites at first, but I still thought it was like I wasn't hot on it. But the more I listened to it, and especially like when you dig into the lyrics on that track, that might be my favorite song here at this point, and it might be one of like the group's not crowning achievements, but like it's one of the most seminal and important songs they've made to date, in my opinion.
Absolutely, we can agree on that. We can agree on that wholeheartedly. When it first came on, like, because I forget, it kind of like at the start of the song, it almost sounds like the start of one of the other songs. Is it like it sounds like the start of If You Pray Right a little bit, and I was like, oh fuck, are they going to go for the same production? And it just comes into that quite, and it just gets like a bit more kind of like that kind of like more soulful stuff in that. Like, I was like, oh my god, this is like really nice.
It's like super soaring, and it just feels like so epic, and it's like they've all culminated at a point in their lives where they're just like, like you said, it's just like they're at the end of the road and they're ready to start anew, like they do on the next song. Yeah,
and again, maybe in a sense, like, they kind of feel like they're going nowhere, that they're kind of repeating themselves. Maybe that was just kind of like a little kind of like, oh, we have been kind of like we've not been making any progress like emotionally, and that's kind of like they play a bit of If You Pray Right, and then it's just like, and boom, that says we're actually getting to the point where like we're dealing with all this baggage that like we've kind of touched on in the past, but this is it. We're like we're burying the body. We're getting rid of this stuff that's getting down on us, and just everyone brings it on here. Like, again, I've said that Joba kind of like disappointed me a little bit, but him in this chorus here, like, I'm like, fuck.
Oh, he kills those vocals there.
Yeah,
especially like the wow, like, those sound great.
Oh god, it's because with Joba, like, whenever I think of Joba, I've always felt like eccentric, like goofy and that, but like when he tries to like sing or like really show that passion and emotion, like, I feel there's
like
very
on Johnny.
I feel like there's very few times where he slips up or that, and this was like definitely a moment where I kind of thought to myself, I'm glad you're still in the team right now. Like, as much as like you may have not impressed me in other songs, kind of like how I was like with Matt in the last album, I'm glad you're here, but kind of on this moment I'm like, okay, this is like almost his own crowning achievement. But I agree with you in the sense that this is like one of the band's crowning achievements. Like, in 5 years' time, when you look at like the most important Brockhampton songs, this is going to be up there with Junkie and Tonya, and just a whole bunch of other stuff that I won't get into. But like, yeah, I think this song was fucking great.
especially Dom's verse on here. I feel like that's like, you know, been a big focus point when people talk about the album, because of course he's addressing the whole Amir situation, and just like he honestly he just sounds so, I don't want to say venomous because I don't want to paint him to be the bad guy here when that's clearly Amir, but like he just has no sympathy for Amir whatsoever. I just found that really interesting. But he's like, you know what, like fuck you, like you betrayed me. You know, you were doing all this garbage shit and you didn't even have like the guts to admit it to me. And he's like, this is not my problem anymore, I'm cutting you. Like just the way that he's like completely severing him off from his life and giving him no like chance at coming back into him. It feels like a really emotionally mature moment for him. It's like, I can't, you know, these are not the type of people that are healthy for me to have in my life. You know, I'm gonna own my shit. I'm gonna tell people that what you did, it was not okay. And like the entire story in it, he tells, you know, he lets us know what happened, and then at the end he's, you know, telling us how he feels about Amir, and the whole thing is just such a emotionally mature moment in my opinion. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think a lot of people would say that for somebody to be mature, they kind of like, it almost like, it kind of like has like, you kind of like think mature, it's got like, it's kind of synonymous with being like calm and relaxed. But you know what, see, sometimes folk are horrible people and they deserve to kind of hear it how it is. And cause I know like Kevin on other songs has been very much like he was like he's got more betrayal. Like with Dom, it's more kind of just like fuck you. Like that fight, the final two lines where he's saying like, you could talk to God, I don't want to hear, motherfucker. That bit just kind of like, and the mic drop as well on that, just like, oh, every time again listen to this album too many times, but that moment always makes it just kind of go fuck. Like,
yeah, and like you were saying, like, because if you remember the line from Kevin's solo project this year, where he was like, I wonder what Amir think about me, or what he think about me. Like, I feel like Kevin, since he's not so much personally involved in the situation, maybe has a bit more sympathy for Amir, but Dom being the one who's like was directly involved, like it was Dom's friend that Amir fucked over, like he's like, I'm not taking any bullshit here, like, you know, I'm not giving you any leeway in this situation.
Yeah, I think it's because with like you say with Kevin's one, I think Kevin's got maybe a bit more sympathy because like I think they were like best friends for like from like a young age and all that, so maybe it was kind of like a case of like that. I think the way that all the members have dealt with it has been really interesting. I feel like, because like you look at like Dom, he's super angry, and I would say venomous, but like I think sometimes people like are totally justified, especially if you like, especially like, well, he was a victim of it, but also like his friends were victims of his actions. Like, makes total sense. Kevin's been quite like, fuck, how is this impacting me, like in terms of like how I'm viewing these people around me. Like Bareface, for some reason, for him it kind of seems like on, I think it's like on Saint Percy, it's almost like that's been like this whole crisis that's happened's been like the push for him to go, fuck, you don't know what's going to happen, I'm actually going to be a bit more like brave and outgoing, because some people are going to be shit no matter what.
Like I can step up to bat here, like that
like
attitude.
So I find that kind of like super interesting, and like, I think we can both kind of like very confidently agree this is like a definite high point in this album.
Now, when you get to I've Been Born Again, I did like that track as a single. It wasn't one of their most exciting singles to me. It had me a bit questioning where they were going, but I did like it. But when I hear it in context of the album, I will say it has dipped on me a bit, because I feel like in terms of the production, it seems like Saint Percy, If You Pray Right, and this song all have a very similar production trick where it's like, you know, mostly very percussion based and low key, and then they throw in like those sour sounding synth notes on each of those songs to try and spice it up a bit. Like the moment in each of those songs where, like, you know, they start off very low key, you know, If You Pray Right does have the tuba, but for the most part, like very sparse production, very low key and rumbling, and then you get like these weird warped synth notes that come in, and it happens the same kind of way on all three of those songs to me. So I did feel like that kind of got played out to me personally and doesn't excite me as much anymore.
Yeah, I kind of like, I can definitely understand that, and to the extent I kind of agree. Like, I don't love this album or think it's a great album. And one of the thing is that, like, sometimes when I'm just like thinking about it, like in preparation for this review, I kind of think to myself, what was like the real main like production difference between If You Pray Right and I've Been Born Again that wasn't the kind of
tuba.
Wasn't just the tuba? Because like sometimes I hear them, I'm just kind of like, fuck, these kind of sound a bit similar. Like when it comes to the performances and all that, like there's some very clear differences, but when it comes to the production, I'm kind of like, fuck, I never have that problem with any other Brockhampton album. I always kind of think to myself, oh, there's some very like clearly defined factors that are like differentiating the two, but like I totally agree that Saint Percy, If You Pray Right, and I've Been Born Again kind of like they're very kind of like homogenous to an extent, production wise at least.
And that was also, it was interesting to me that If You Pray Right and I've Been Born Again were both used as singles, because like viewing them both in that sense, like it very clearly highlighted to me how similar they were in that way. I'm like, okay, are we gonna get much variety at all in this project? And we did in the end. Like besides those three songs, like everything else kind of has its own identity to me. But like those three, they just kind of get a bit homogenous, and so neither one really sticks out that much to me. And like the way Matt is used on them as well, I find is similar, because on I mean on the two singles, sorry, because on both of them he doesn't have like his own verse. He kind of just like repeats two lines over and over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like even in that sense, it was similar.
Yeah.
Even though I do like when he comes in at the end of I've Been Born Again, that is a very hype moment.
Oh yeah, like I kind of like. It's one of those songs that like you kind of play in the shower to get like kind of like wake yourself up. It's one of those ones that I find Joba on this, like the kind of the effect they put in his voice actually kind of chilling a little bit, especially because like the last song's been kind of like the morning song, like kind of like burying their kind of like qualms in that. It sounds almost kind of like a grim reapery kind of like voice of like death in that, where it's just kind of like echoing around, like kind of like yeah. I don't know. I found it like really kind of like cool, and maybe not so much supernatural, but like it was sort of like a bit more menacing, especially with like what he's saying as well. But I agree with you in the fact that Matt's conclusion on this is just like gets me so hyped, and I like how Kevin's verse goes into Merlin's with the Dennis Rodman, even though
I'm Dennis Rodman.
But someone pointed out to me, actually it was my pal Andy that was saying to me, it's very weird how Dearly Departed has all these very like emotional lines, and then you go right into I've Been Born Again, and Marilyn says she's so bad I let her touch my butt. Like it's quite a.
I didn't notice that line until like multiple listens in. When I finally caught it, I'm like, how did I not hear this before? Like that's so ridiculous.
It sounds dead weird, but like also, but I kind of think that at this point, like they're all kind of like in a better mood. They sound like to me like I mean, they're a bit more in kind of like a playful mood. So like it kind of like, okay, we're past this stage. Like we're not going to talk about Amir anymore. Any of our issues are going to come solely from, we don't want like to be defined by it, and like everyone's pretty much kind of like moved past it at this point. So I kind of, and it's quite a like a, well, why are you saying this immediately after that very emotional song? But also I kind of see why.
And like to quote the man himself, like that's so Merlin. Like that's just what he does. Like it's like on what's the song from Saturation 2 where he has that Beyonce line? Is that Sweet?
I think it is Sweet where he mentions Beyonce.
I want like Beyonce to adopt me or whatever he was saying on that. Like he's always been the guy in the group to just say weird, ridiculous shit, but it's like it fits his character well.
Yeah. Apparently this is this interpolates She by Tyler the Creator. When does that happen? Like,
yeah, I didn't hear that personally.
Yeah,
but I also haven't heard that song since I was like 12.
Yeah, I just remember the bit where I just remember like Frank Ocean saying "golden rubbers" in these denim pockets, and then Tyler the Creator just being his edgy self. Yeah. I don't know, like maybe that's something I need to look at later on, but like I cannot remember how that got sampled. Didn't really pop out to me.
The title track to me on this project, like I don't know if it was interesting to you at all. I personally don't really have anything to say about it. I just, kind of reminds me a bit of Gamba off Saturation 2, but like it didn't do much for me one way or the other. Yeah.
We're talking about Ginger, yeah.
Yeah.
Ginger totally is kind of like the song that, again, kind of like Sugar, where it just like it feels so kind of poppy and almost kind of like cheesy in that sense. It kind of I really like it, especially because Bareface at the end just sounds so like a noughties pop star that's just been just so over the top, and that like personally I do quite like the song, and again kind of like the major. I kind of said this a few days ago on Twitter or like similar like review site where I was like I kind of find it a little bit smart how they've like went for Sugar being like kind of like the two contrasting things being like Sugar and Ginger, the sweetness, like all these like high like noughties Timbaland throwbacks, like all the kind of like the good times, and then Ginger just being this thing that's like really like spicy sometimes. It just like kind of like doesn't go down too well in large chunks. And I think Ginger is quite, just as an album in that kind of thematic sense is cool, but this title track itself. Yeah, I like it. I think it's kind of like the start of like a really interesting run with Ginger, Big Boy, and Love Me for Life, and Victor Roberts as well. Though Victor Roberts got more of a kind of more of like a kind of different feel to me than the other ones do. But
Yeah.
like it starts like this. It's the start of like a really good 3-track run for me.
Well, I mean, I'm not personally a fan of it, so I wouldn't say it's like the best start of a 3-track run, but the next song, Big Boy, this along with Dearly Departed would have to be my favorite on the record. I absolutely love like how atmospheric it is, just like the super hazy, cloudy synths in the background, and just like the way Bareface complements it, like with the vocal effects on his voice, and then even when they're taken off, like I just love his melody there, and just the whole thing, it just feels so dark and heavy. And like I know a lot of people aren't a fan of the chorus, but I personally really like it. I like how again Kevin's the vocal effects on his voice, how deep they are, kind of add to that overall mood of the song.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like you're kind of like a kid, and there's this like this older person. Like it's like the most kind of like generic way to sound older, but it kind of sounds like you're being kind of like condescended by somebody, which is like obviously the whole point of the song is to be kind of like being made to feel like you're a man, you have to kind of like man up and don't cry around me, don't pout around me, don't like kind of like just be a pure typical stereotypical man. I love this one. The first time I heard it, I kind of thought that the vocal effects were a bit goofy, but like at this point I love them. I kind of love really everything about this song. And I did say earlier that Joba I feel like he let me down a little bit. His verse on this kind of makes me cry. Like I say, kind of makes me cry. It does make kind of makes me cry a little bit. It absolutely does. Like there's a certain even just like how he starts off by just kind of like saying like where he's kind of like really doubting himself and those around him, just like two really well put lines. Javert off Iridescence, I never quite know how to say it. But, like it's like that feeling, that kind of point where like you're getting pushed to the edge and you really don't know what to think. You kind of doubt everything about yourself and even how your brain's working. It's like that, but the delivery is just like obviously completely different, because obviously like on Javert it's like just on the edge. As somebody described a 14-year-old with too many Monster energy drinks and that. This is like just somebody that's just kind of like it's just reflecting on stuff and it's just kind of going kind of like a lump in their throat, just kind of going like, fuck it, what can I do? And like it's every time I've came back to this album, this is a song that kind of makes I kind of almost want to skip it sometimes. Cause I just don't feel like I'm ready for it. I'm kind of like, nah, I'm in public. I can't. I don't want to be doing this just now. And it's like, I kind of think to myself, wait, this is exactly what the song's like going against. Like, fuck it, cry all you want and that. So it's like, I love this song. Like for me, it's in the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'll just say, like, you know, if a song makes me cry, like, I'll play that shit at work. I'll cry at my desk. I don't even care. Like,
I'm gonna make everyone around me just kind of go, be more sympathetic towards me. Why, you know, it's a win-win. I cry, I feel better, you treat me better. Go for it.
I will say, overall, I do really like Joba's verse on here. I especially love the line where he says, "Lost my way, trying to change for the wrong crowd."
Yeah.
Like, that spoke to me a lot personally. But the one part of his verse I wasn't too big on was when he kept rhyming change with change. Because, like, I don't think when people do that in rap, it's inherently bad. Like, obviously, you know this, but I'm a big fan of Nicki Minaj's verse on Poke It Out by Playboi Carti, where she does this, but like, when she does that, for example, on that song, and like lots of rappers have done this, but like they'll rhyme the same word with itself, but it's a word that has like multiple meanings, and so they'll use it in context where it means different things. But the way Joba says it here, like 3 of the 4 times he rhymes it with itself, it means the same thing. Only 1 of the times he uses it, it has a different meaning. So that annoyed me a little bit lyrically, but for the most part, like he does have a great verse on this thing.
See, I kind of disagree with you on that, because it almost kind of seems to me like he's so focused on wanting to change, but hasn't actually done it. Like he keeps like repeating it, kind of in the same sense that I was talking about that Merlin line on No Halo. It's almost like some people get so like kind of stuck in their ways, and that it's almost like he's just kind of like stuck in this thought of changing. He keeps kind of going like, I want to change, things are going to change. Like it just sounds like somebody that's just kind of like on like just before the straw, like the last straw, the straw that breaks the camel's back. Like that's the vibe that I get from it. But I also kind of have that pet peeve with rap where it's like you're just rhyming a word with the same word and there's no different context to it. But I think the overarching context of this whole song makes sense to me. But I could totally understand where you're coming from on that.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, I didn't think of that, but like just the fact that he's trying to push himself so hard to change. Like, I'm gonna change. Like he just keeps telling himself that. Like that actually, if that's what he intended, that would make it a lot better.
Yeah, again, it's like it feels like one of those albums where like I'm making like points, like I'm having like revelations. I'm like, did they even mean this? But like, I guess it doesn't really matter if somebody means it or not. Like if it's landed the way it has, and then it just has.
If you've seen my Year of the Snitch review, then like I do the same thing sometimes. Like you can just get so excited by an album that you're just going way over the top with your theories, but like it's fun. It's part of the enjoyment of it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Also, just
and like
before we move on from this song, the bear. I like again Bareface. I like it when he sounds moody on this album. I just want more of it, honestly.
What a day! What a day! I love how he comes in with that. But yeah, and the other thing, like with you saying like you're not sure if they intended it, like my philosophy on this has always been like the artist's intent, like in any regard, is like not really what matters, is how you as the listener interpret it. So like I think it's totally like valid for you to have, you know, these ideas about it. Like if that's what makes you enjoy it, then that's what, you know, that should be like what makes you enjoy it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
let's just get into like some death of the author philosophy in this Brockhampton review. Why not? But, like,
have you read Nietzsche before?
Oh, but like I totally agree with that line of thinking. Like at a certain point when the art's out there, you can't really kind of have too much authority over it. Like people will interpret however they want. Like people can interpret Sufjan Stevens just being super religious and totally straight and not gay at all, and other folk might disagree with you on that.
The next song, "Love Me for Life."
Yes.
This is one that when I heard the sample of this thing, because this is the first song they put out a sample for, like on Twitter, I thought it sounded horrible. I thought it, like, I was like, what the hell is this? And I don't know if it was just the quality of the Twitter audio, but like the bass on that sounded really muffled. The high pitched synths, sorry, that are used on this song, they sounded super grating. And like I heard that sample, I was like, what the fuck are they doing? But
yeah,
then
I totally agree.
Yeah, you heard that same thing with that?
Yeah, I might put... I want to say maybe it was just the Twitter audio fucking up, but like it did come out like a few months ago, so maybe they just kind of like... Maybe they did get the feedback and went,
right, true.
like they seem like they would add stuff so last minute anyway. It doesn't really kind of go without the line of like reasoning it, like, oh, they wouldn't have done that. Like maybe we're just hearing it wrong.
Right.
But
that like, whatever they did, like the way it came out in the studio version here, to me it sounds exponentially better, because like those synths, like when I heard those synths in the Twitter clip, I was like, they hurt my ears, but when I hear them here, I just find they sound so delicate and soft and kind of beautiful almost. So like the contrast to what like I thought the song was going to be versus how it ended up, like this is actually one of the more enjoyable songs in the project in my opinion. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like the last like minute and a half where like you get Joe Buck on it, that's very like, and I don't know if I remember you had like an issue with one of the vocal performances of his, and I can't remember which one it was. It's this one. Is it this one? Okay, perfect. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I don't have an issue with it, and like I don't have a problem with his performance on here, but I can't shake it out of my head that the melody on this song to me sounds like exactly like White Iverson by Post Malone. Because he's like Joe on here, he's like, keep a blade, do like that thing. And then, I'm swagging, I'm like that. I just find the melodies are so similar that I can't hear the song without hearing Post Malone, and it just bothers me a little bit. But it's like out of their control, so I don't know. It's like that. I can't remember the song of Igor, but the one that you think it's just basically stronger to you. And like I hear it. I hear it. I don't blame you. And in here, I hear it as well. But I kind of like how he just sounds kind of like quite angelic almost. He's like. I will say. Sorry, I'll let you go in there. No, you go ahead. Sorry. I was just gonna say like I quite like how he sounds so angelic here. A few tracks ago, I was saying how that vocoder effect makes him sound quite ominous and kind of like devilish and that. And you go from that to just Marilyn just. With like push them out. Oh, I love it so. Yeah, like he's really good on this track. Yeah, he just kills it. Like, I do love like the overall kind of just like the song is like unsurprisingly like about love. Like when it comes to Kevin's kind of delivery, it's just like what I gotta do, and it's like that kind of like did it. I really I don't know. I love that, and then all the deliveries are so different. It's kind of. It could be so boring for them to all be kind of like so similar in that, but like just both the kind of like what they're talking about love and also how they're going about doing it, I just find so endearing in a way. Yeah. I will say I do like the second part of Joba's verse when he switches up the melody to like
Yeah.
the "What do I know?" like that whole thing. I like that part a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I like. There's nothing wrong with the first part. It's just that's just a personal thing that I can't help but hear, and it just kind of distracts me a little bit.
Yeah, and I do like how like what he's holding on to whenever he's saying it, like where he's going like, where did I go? Where did we go? Like again, a small touch, but like I feel like it's kind of like it's it's a touch that I kind of go to myself. It's making me like enjoy the song a bit more. And Bareface as well. Like I keep just kind of I can't just keep saying like I just love seeing Bareface stuff. I know folk were complaining about it when it came to like the 1999, 1998, 1997 tracks and that. They were kind of like, oh, they're just trying to get him on everything. But like I do feel like on every appearance, he's at the very least solid. And on tracks like that, I'm just like, that sounds so fucking nice. Like it just.
I think with both this album and Iridescence, and this album even more so, honestly, that Bareface has like really improved how he contributes, because like in the Saturation trilogy and on those 1990 whatever singles, like he was very one note, like he just kind of did the same thing every time he was featured. But now he's switching it up, like on Boy Bye he's doing something different, on Big Boy he's doing something different, like on Here he's doing like he keeps switching up how he's performing, and like he's becoming a much more versatile and interesting member of the group. Like honestly, his contributions on this project might be my favorite aside from Dom.
Yeah, I'd pretty much agree with you there. Like Dom brings it a lot. Marilyn, for me, from Marilyn's mainly just kind of like his performance as opposed to what he's offering like a multitude of ways. But like Bareface and Dom, both in what they're saying, how they're going about saying it, it's like it kind of just makes me kind of like roll my eyes whenever folks say, like when I've heard some folk go, "Oh, I miss Amir," and that I'm just like, Amir, like by Saturation 2, I was getting bored of his delivery in that. So if I was having to go like through another like 2 or 3 albums, even if he hadn't done what he did, I'd just be so fucking bored of it. Like
I fully agree with that. Like I see some people complain about it sometimes, but like on both albums, I haven't missed his presence at all. Like
no,
hasn't been one way or the other for me. No, like I've never been listening to one of the songs and thought, you know what, this needs Amir. Like I've just they've discovered their own identity outside of him. I think they've moved on perfectly, and like he's kind of just an afterthought now. And you know, the only time he's relevant to me is on a song like Dearly Departed, where they're addressing the situation.
Yeah, it's just basically I do feel like that's kind of like one of like the general notes I wanted to say about this album. When I explain it to folk, I'd probably just be like, this is the album where it feels like if there was like with Iridescence, like the whole mood of the album was formed by Amir's actions. On this one, it feels like, okay, we've kind of moved on a little bit, but we will address it. I feel like going onwards, that's going to be it. Like it kind of excites me a fair bit thinking about shit, where will they go next, even though I feel a little bit let down by the album, but I still generally like a fair chunk of it.
And then the way they close things out with Victor Roberts, like I'm very conflicted on the song personally, because the part with, you know, actual Victor Roberts, I actually think that's one of the best moments on the record in my opinion. Like I just love the story he tells on here. I love the way he raps. It's quite different from anyone else in the group. And just like the production's really simple, but it just fits what he's talking about perfectly. But then the second half of the song, like it just feels like the most generic, like, you know, trying to be serene and beautiful and like peaceful ending. Like there was nothing about the second half of the song that I found interesting at all. It just like, it's like, okay, we got to end this off in a very, you know, like peaceful way. Like, you know, we're at peace with ourselves, and like it just feels like the most basic way to do that, just with, you know, kind of some lovely singing, with not really interesting lyrics, and, you know, kind of lovely, graceful production. But just nothing about the second half of the song interested me, even if I liked the direction of the, you know, the Victor Roberts part.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that, because the Victor Roberts part is just, it's, again, like the overall vibe that I think they were trying to go for was like having this story of adversity, and that one that they've not touched on before, and then kind of like having like the last part of the track being basically like how people around you, just like how other presences and that are going to help you, make you feel better, which is like a hopeful part. But it just feels like it's two different songs, just like kind of like really roughly stitched together. But I do think that Victor Roberts himself, like I don't know how much like solo music they've released, but like when this song ended for the first time, I was like, fuck, I would love to, like I keep playing like his verse like randomly, like whenever I'm just like doing like any sort of mundane thing. I just keep thinking of like that my fucking Power Rangers line, just like I'm just like it just kind of pops out of nowhere. He kills it absolutely. It's just a shame that it's just the rest of the song isn't quite up to that standard.
Did you see what Dom said about this song on Twitter?
Mm-hmm. I watched it. I don't know if it's maybe the same stuff he said in the interview. What did he say on Twitter?
He just said that like this is a childhood friend of his that like he wanted his story to be told on the record.
Yeah. He went into detail in that interview where he was saying like how this was somebody that he played Xbox with, like back in like 2009. Like they just play Xbox Live, and Dom said to him one day like, "Oh, I'm off to California. It was off to California or like wherever he was going off to Brockhampton. Was it Texas they went to? I can't remember now. The California, Texas.
I know most of them are from Texas, but like back when they like were all living in a house together, that was California, but I'm not too sure like, where he would have went there. But
so that would have been when he went off to California to go like start Brockhampton. Like Victor was like, "Good on you, like I wish you all the best." Like he was one of the few folk that were actually like supporting him on this because like obviously they've all talked about how their family are against it, and the thing was like he wanted to like Victor Roberts wanted to go off and make music, but he had to like look after his family, and that like he was like basically kind of had to give up that creative life to go do some personal stuff. One day Dom invites him over to the house. They're sitting on the front porch, and he's like, I want to show you something," and that's what they showed. And Dom basically said like how when it came to this song finally coming together, he was like in tears. He was so happy, and the general vibe of it was just basically how he wants to get like Brockhampton in general wants to give like the microphone over to folk who have these stories, not just kind of like say it as if it's their own. Like, no, fuck it, we're actually gonna give it to somebody. So it was a very kind of touching moment, definitely.
Well, that's what like that kind of starts to get into what I really like how this song fits into the album thematically. It's like on songs like No Halo, they're talking about feeling like they're alone, like they're worthless, like nobody hears them, like they're just lost, and like now that they've kind of been able to get over that themselves, now they're giving someone who may have felt like that themselves, like they didn't have a voice, like they were in a pointless place, they're putting that guy and they're giving him a voice and a platform to speak on that. So it's like it just comes full circle to me.
Yeah, I was pretty much when I first heard that I was thinking to myself like even though I didn't know the context of like Victor Roberts like as a person, that like just what the story was about and how he's very down about it all, and then he's met with like Bareface and Ryan like with their really nice voices. Again, doesn't quite match, but it's almost like, okay, you've been through all this shit here, like you're kind of like almost like you're seeing this like guardian angel come down in front of you to give you that kind of comfort and not to feel alone anymore. So like I agree with you, it does definitely kind of, it's like on paper it's like the perfect way to like tie a bow and that around it, but it could have been a little bit better.
So, like, yeah, this song to me, like, kind of perfectly shows how I feel about the album as a whole. Like, there's parts about it I love. There's, like, parts that I have, some major issues with. But, like, overall, I really appreciate and do like the artistic direction and, like, the creativity and concept that all went into this, even if I don't love every moment musically, you know what I mean? So, like, overall, like, I don't like this album. It's not something I think I'm going to return too much. And, like, it is something that overall was more mediocre to me than anything, but like I really respect what they did here. There are some songs I'll return to, and like I have no doubts that they're still at a creative peak as a group and are still going to be a really fresh and exciting voice for years to come.
Yeah, I agree. I agree for the most part on that in terms of like how I found it a bit of a letdown. I do think the high points in this are enough for me to kind of feel quite like positive reflecting on it. I don't think it's going to be quite like an album of the year contender in any way that their other albums have been, but I don't really kind of like, considering what the whole album's about, I don't want to kind of like hold them too much to account for what they've done before. They're obviously trying to do something a bit different here, and again, I like some of the themes. I do think, yeah, there's a quite a few points where I'm like, it kind of, the band almost hold themselves back a bit too much. But generally, I do feel quite enthusiastic about this project. It would be something that I would love them to use as a foundation, even though, on the other hand, I would much rather they just kind of just basically not do Iridescence 2.0, but like I don't want them to take that as like, okay, people didn't like that much, we're not going to go that batshit anymore. I'm like, I kind of hope they will at some point, but I guess that's kind of like the excitement about it. We have no idea what they're going to do next.
I feel like I have a feeling that someday, even if it's just a song, like they'll make something like District or like Jouvert or like, you know, like Berlin again. Like I just feel like that's inside of them. Like Kevin especially. Like I just feel like that's the type of music that they want to be making at points. Like, I'm not that they do. I feel like this is the type of music they want to be making as well, but I just feel like there's so many realms that they want to dip their toes in, and I feel like one of those realms is the more abrasive experimental stuff. So like I think that'll see a return in the future, as well as them delivering stuff that like we wouldn't even expect from them now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just I'm still on board. I know, like we said at the start of the video, a lot of people who just have decided that it's not for them anymore, and I'm not gonna hold any grudges about that, because at the end of the day, people mature, and maybe they've just outgrown it. But I'm still very much like excited to see what they're doing, because I do think just like kind of like ethos wise, like I kind of just like what they represent a lot, and their music's still just as good for me. So I'm happy if just a little bit or quite a bit let down with the overall quality.
Right. I will say I feel like even though like a lot of people that we know, and maybe in more like music nerdish circles or whatever you want to call it, like I feel like even though a lot of people there may have jumped ship or may not be as hot on them as they are anymore, like in my personal experience, it seems like overall they are still like gaining traction and becoming bigger and bigger, because like people I know, like, you know, when the first like 2 Saturations were coming out, you know, nobody would have had any idea who they were. Then when Saturation 3 came out, like I know a few people who just independently of like talking to me or anything, they're like, hey, have you heard like this song Boogie or something like that? And then, you know, then by the time Iridescence came out, like even more people I knew. And now like with this album here, like everybody that I know in real life that I follow on Instagram or something, like has been posting songs from it on their stories and everything like that. It just seems like especially amongst people around our ages, like more younger people, like there's just a lot of buzz and excitement about these guys. Like everyone's kind of into them. They're like kind of, you know, the new thing in that sense. So I do feel like overall they're still doing well. I hope they are, and I hope they continue to build on it. You know what I mean? Like I really want these guys to do as well as they can. I am still like, even if I don't love this project, like I'm proud of it in a weird way. Just like just when I take a step back, like I'm just really proud of how these guys are going, and I still am a really big fan of them and just wish the best for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I want that to kind of be like, if anyone takes anything away from this review at all, it's that like they were in such a rut in the last album, and even though as much as we enjoyed that record and I still think it's their best, I'm glad like personally like they're doing better. Even though in a lot of points in this album I kind of go, fuck, I hope they're doing all right, but it seems like they've used their music quite healthily, which is good. And yeah, just in general, like it's an album that I like. Maybe some things that I like about it aren't actually to do with the music itself, but it's definitely been entertaining to even just kind of like analyze it and break it down.
Right. Last point, just because something you said that reminded me of something. Like before we wrap it up, just like you were saying about them using their music kind of as an outlet to deal with things. I love that line. I forget what song it was, but Dom was talking about how I think it was actually Dearly Departed, where he says like, I have so many songs that you'll never hear where I talk about this. So it's like it definitely seems like this is something like they'll just go in the studio and just, you know, make songs as a way of venting, as, you know, getting out their inner demons. So I do think that is a very interesting and cool part of the group. But for me, this album, you know, it's clear what my feelings are, so I'm going to go with a 5.5 out of 10. How are you feeling score-wise?
That's fair. If we're going, if you allow me to use decimals on this channel, I'm going to go... I don't know if I'm going to use it. I'm just going to go for a 7. Just a flat-out 7. And just because there'll be folk that think 7's a bad score. 7's a good score. I will probably return to this. It rarely is as a whole, but I will return to like a good chunk of it, and I wouldn't be surprised if 1 or 2 of these songs land on like my top 100 songs of the year. A good project, but could have been a bit better, definitely.
I just personally go with the 0.5 because I feel like, to me, like a 5 is an album that kind of bores me, that I'm not that into. And then the 0.5 just means like I'm kind of mixed on it, but I do feel some positive feelings towards it. Like I'm not just completely bored and like it's like lifeless and uninteresting. Like it has interesting aspects. I just can't quite like it. That's just my little way of differentiating those two sentiments. But I know overall it's the same type of thing. But still. So yeah. We went very in depth here. Yeah. I think that like we definitely had a lot of good discussions about like everything on here. And like you brought up a lot of stuff that I hadn't considered, and like I think that's honestly a testament to this. The fact that we could go on for an hour about everything in here shows that it's definitely not a forgettable or a useless release. Like no matter what you think of it, like this is definitely something that is very interesting and has had a lot of thought and care put into it. So I hopefully, you know, people don't get too mad if, you know, they love this project. And I hope people do love this project, like I was saying. But yeah, so that's how we feel about this new Brockhampton album. Liam, do you want to tell them, you know, where they can find you?
Yeah, just if you type Liam the Music Reviewer into YouTube, ignore
Scroll past some Liam Gallagher videos.
Yeah, I was gonna say ignore the Liam Gallagher videos. That's not me. I think you can probably tell at this point if you've made it this far into it. That's not me. Follow me.
So you're not a Tory.
I'm not a Tory. I'm not a raging Tory. But if you like ranked videos, if you like analysis, like even though I'm called Liam the Music Reviewer, I don't do much reviewing anymore. But I do love coming onto channels like David's. Like if you like kind of like how David analyzes like albums, I do that with usually songs. So if you like his stuff, then give me a try if you haven't already.
Don't subscribe to him. He does not deserve it at all. Like he's a disgusting person, and he's one of the worst people I know. And I hope he loses all his support. Yeah,
I think I deserve that too. Unsubscribe from David and me right now. We don't deserve.
I mean, yeah, I don't deserve your support either. We're horrible people.
We're cancelled. We're ending this review by cancelling.
We're cancelling ourselves.
I mean, the cowboy guy and Anti-Liam can on our channels. They can do a better job.
I think those would be exponentially better. Like, who cares about us when you got Anti-Liam and the cow? The next Shark Tale review: Anti-Liam versus Cowboy David.
It's happening. It's in the process. I've already got the
5,000 subscriber special.
But no, thank you very much for having me on. This has been an absolute blast. Was not expecting to talk about it this long, but like genuinely, like you were saying, I think it's testament to how interesting the record must be, even if that interest doesn't quite equate to the quality.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to talk about it for this long, because it's been a long time since I've like gotten this in depth about like a single piece of music, but I love doing it. So thank you very much for coming on. Thank you everyone else for watching. Hopefully like you can handle the length of it, but if you can't, fuck you, I don't care, because I like it. So
fuck you.
That's that. Yeah, fuck all my viewers. I hate you all. No, I'm obviously joking. You're all wonderful people. I don't know you actually. It's not true. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. So let's just say thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Stay safe, stay hydrated. It's my channel.
That's the one. There we go. Don't drink water ever.
That shit sucks.
I just got that on tape of Liam the Music Reviewer just admitting that water's trash. So that's where I'm going to end it right now before he can even redeem himself.
Oh no.